introduce herself. Hey, Sabrina, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks, Rusra. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. Thank you so much again for being here and for having this conversation with me. Now, before we move on, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'll try and keep it as simple as possible.
Mhm.
I'm Dr. Sabrina, and I'm a psychiatrist and a mental health practitioner for the last 10 years now. Before that, I had a background in emergency medicine, and I worked in an ER for about 6 years. And then I decided to go into mental health, and here we are.
Here we are, and that's how I met you, right?
Absolutely.
Now we started working together a few months ago, right? But this is not the first time we're working together. We worked together when you were after the delivery of your second born, is that right?
Yes, after the delivery of my daughter, who's my second child, and
Yeah,
that was about 2.5 years ago when
yeah,
I joined you for your postpartum program.
yeah.
And you've been my only coach, Yusra. I've never had another coach.
I feel
And so that was an incredible experience. I think I worked with you for about 3 to 4 months then.
yeah,
And then I reached out again about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago again.
yeah. Now working you for the first time, I remember you came into the program, we worked on your postnatal recovery, and then you're like, yeah, I'm good to go. And then you went away, you started working out, ate better, and all these amazing things continued to happen. Right.
Yes.
And then, we've always been in touch. I remember you're literally the first person I messaged when I signed up for my master's. I'm like, Sabrina, signed up for my master's. I was so excited because honestly, the work that you do really inspires me as a health and fitness professional who was very much around the physical health, right? And as I told you before, I felt this limitation towards helping people with their mental health, and knowing how closely related the two are, how important they are, I noticed the gap in my knowledge and abilities, right? So when I embarked on this new journey of mine, I was like, I need to tell Sabrina this. And you're so encouraging as always. So thank you so much for always being there for me as much as I have been for you. Right?
Yes, and you've always been such an inspiration, Yusra, because you're incredible.
Thank you so much. Right now, talk to me about what made you come back to coaching with me. What was happening there?
Right. So you remember like when we had our first call before I started with you this time, I said, Yusra, I feel stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel overwhelmed. I don't feel I'm going anywhere with my fitness journey. There is a lot on my plate. There is nothing I can delegate or take off it, but I'm just not up to it. I don't feel the energy. I feel I've slowed down. I don't feel as healthy as I used to. And of course, a lot of what you said resonated with me in terms of, our behaviors affecting our health generally and our fitness as well then, right? And I realized that I've always been an emotional eater since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And that resonated with me. And I said, hey, this is probably something I need to work on. It goes deeper than just eating right and exercising. It's probably something more permanent. It probably will help me heal or try and change my relationship with food, because it wasn't the best, and I kind of felt that eating helped me feel better. I was eating my emotions, like you would put it, you know and so that was the major driver for me reaching out again.
And I love that you said that, and I love your honesty in that, because you're a mental health professional, right? People would be
Yes.
thinking, oh, you're a psychiatrist, you should know this. It's not about the knowledge. You know more than me as far as mental health is concerned,
Yes.
hands down.
Yes.
But it's not about the knowledge, it's the implementation, and it's the fact that we don't see our own blind spots.
Right, we don't. And then also that we need somewhere, like I would need somewhere where I would be accountable, like I told you, and someone to actually show me the mirror Just like I show it to my patients, I can't show it to myself. So I would also need someone to hear me out, to understand me, to help me pick up my blind spots and then do something about it, right? And there was no one better than you to do that for me.
Thank you so much. And here's the thing, I have my own coaches who do exactly that, right? The only reason I can be a great coach is because I get coaching, right? The only reason I can be a great coach because I'm better at spotting other people's blind spots, because they're the same blind spots that I have that my coaches kind of point towards me.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Right. So what I'm curious about is, was there a point, a tipping point where you said, all right, now this, I need to contact you right now? Did anything happen that made you say, yeah, I'm done with this, I need to sort this out now?
No, nothing really happened. It's just that I was feeling stuck.
Yeah.
And because you always put out such valuable content on Facebook, you know, that it kind of resonated with me. Something there clicked and said, hang on, this seems to be something that would work for me, that could help me become a better version of myself, right? Because my energy levels were really at an all-time low as well. Like I was just tired because there was so much happening and I had to make sure that I was able to deal with everything. I just wasn't doing anything for myself in the whole process. And that was leaving me stretched, drained out, bursting at the seams, you know. And then of course, food was my comfort.
Did you feel that lack of energy and lethargy impacting your work, how you were, maybe, you know, your activities, your daily activities, your social gatherings? Was that all impacted by this?
Yes. So it wasn't really affecting my work much, because that's really, you know, something that's always been a constant, but it was affecting my relationship with my children.
Oh,
They are
huge.
3 and 6, and they need me to be available physically and mentally and emotionally, and all the time. And so I kind of found that I wouldn't really show out my frustration or my annoyance at work, because you need to have a professional front. You always need to kind of look put together and say the right things at the right time and do what's right for your patients. And your presence of mind always has to be on point to be able to pick up what's going on with them. But then when I came home, that was my comfort zone. And that's where the kids were. And they were just being kids, right? But then at that point, I just couldn't take it anymore. I got irritated. I probably yelled a little more than I should have. Or I couldn't be present as the mother I wanted to be for them. Yeah. And so that was really the part that was being impacted by what I was going through.
Absolutely. And this is another reason why, Sabrina, is why I work with the people that I do, professional moms, because I get it. I get the fact that we go out there and we give everything that we have, and then we come home, we're drained, right? And the people who get the hit unintentionally is, of course, the people who are closest to us, our husbands, our children, our parents, right? They're the ones who have to pick up the slack, and sometimes that's unfair.
Absolutely, right? It is.
Yeah, I hear that. Now, talk to me about your, before we get on that, is whenever I have conversations with people, right, they love this idea of they knew them and stuff, but when we come to investing in themselves, there's always this fear of, oh my God, right? How did that feel for you, knowing that, you know, I need to invest X amount in myself? Was that scary for you? Was that like, nope, I need to do this? What was that conversation with yourself?
Well, I knew that I needed this, right? And I knew I was making a big commitment for myself at that point. But I also understood that it was important, that if I did not do this for myself, then, you know, what was I being? I wasn't being the best version of myself, and I needed to give myself this chance. Absolutely,
yeah. And when you talk about being, it's beyond us. It's beyond being a certain weight, right? It's how are we as mothers, as wives, as partners, as, you know, business owners even, because that's where it really matters. That's where it really shows, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So what changes have you experienced since working with me?
So I must say, this was really magical.
I love that word.
Because I wasn't really doing too much, you know. It wasn't taking too much time. There was no rocket science behind this. It was simple, basic, small, sustainable changes
Yeah.
that worked for me, that fit into my life.
Yeah.
And that I could make very happily. Like, I think I even remember telling you that this is the first time I'm enjoying my workouts. I look forward to them and say, oh, this is what I'm doing, or feel good about doing them, you know, and doing them in about 20 to 30 minutes, 3 times a week, and still getting results. Because it's not about joining a program, working out like crazy, going completely down on the calories. What after the program, right? And so this is really something that I have felt confident about being sustainable, about something that I make part of my life, even going forward after we finished the 12 weeks of the program.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And here's the thing, there's never a meal plan. Right?
Yeah, with you, there's never a meal plan.
Hoping Yusra is going to give me this exact meal plan, but there's never a meal plan. There's just knowledge and information. Then you take that and you tailor it to yourself, and that's it.
Yes,
Right?
yes. And of course, the fact that you were so involved,
Yeah.
and you wanted to see what I was eating. Like I said, I was nervous about sending you photos of what I was eating, right? But that made so much sense to me after you'd seen it and given me feedback and given me practical ways of how to know if how much I was eating was too little, too much, or just enough, you know, and empowering me really to make those decisions every day without thinking too much about them
Yeah.
is really amazing. It's something I have now.
And it's so amazing to kind of, and I know we had our last call and you're like, how do I move forward? And if you notice, I didn't tell you anything in that conversation. I was just asking you questions and you already had the answers. You knew exactly
Yes.
what you were going to do without.
Yes, I was just nervous. I was just thinking, I hope I don't go back to doing everything that I was before we started this journey.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. You asked me the questions, I had the answers. And just before we started this live today, you said, how have you been? And I said, the last few weeks have been really good, better than I expected them to be, you know. And yes, so I just feel very much in control, very much empowered, you know, and like, it's not an all or none, it's a process. It's, you are in control. There's one question that you asked me and said, who is in control? And the answer is, I am. I get to make that decision, you know, nobody else. And so it's really up to me. It starts with me. And I think it was so important for us to get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I see a lot of people do is, and I talk about this a lot as well, right? They want to change their eating and their fitness and stuff, and they change everything about their lives 360 degrees, right? But we also know that's not how the brain works. Your brain is going to freak out and say, oh, hang on, too much too soon. No, and then they get overwhelmed and stop. And one of the reasons why I get everybody to send me pictures, because if we can tailor what you already like, right? Because this is key. I want you to eat what you already love to eat, but just tweak it in a way that actually serves your goals. That's it. That's all we're doing. We're not going 360 degrees and force you to eat things that you really don't like, which sadly is what a lot of people tend to do in this journey, and they just stop, right?
Absolutely. We don't realize that, one, we have a very deeply ingrained relationship with food from childhood.
Yeah.
Secondly, we're all culturally different. So of course our foods look different, and every family cooks differently, right? And so to kind of get that to change completely and then to make it sustainable is, I think, really just not even a goal that we should be having. And I think that's the beauty about the way you work, You work with the individual. You kind of give them that space to be themselves, and then you help them make changes that serve their goals, that help them achieve them without making too many changes to what they already are used to.
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people that I've worked with, mashallah, they already know so much about nutrition, Sabrina. It's not the lack of knowledge here, like we said before. I mean, if it was just the information, go on YouTube, go on Google, you can get the information for free, right? People don't hire me for information. They hire me for the implementation. Like, hey, I get it. I get how hectic, how busy your life is. I get the relationship. How can I guide you? You're in control, right? I'm just the map. You drive the car. How can I guide you to get to your goals in a way that actually serves you?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the beauty of your program. There's no one size fits all. And you kind of just give that time and understanding and, the empathy. And everything you do is so powerful, Yusra, that it does have an amazing impact.
I really appreciate that. Now, how has life been since working together? What impacts, what shifts have you seen in your life now?
So one, with energy, I've stopped saying, I am tired all the time. I am tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
That had become like my second nature, feeling tired and saying I'm tired. And of course, what you feel and put out there becomes your reality, right? And so that's something that's really just not part of my life and zone anymore. It's like, yes, this is life. It has to be done. I am empowered. I'm in control. I can do this. Yes, of course, I'm a human being. I do get tired and exhausted sometimes, but that's normal and natural, So I just find that getting things done on a daily basis for everyone and everything has just become very much a normal part of my life. I'm able now. Right, so that's one. Two, my relationship with food has changed. And so I have stopped thinking about foods as good foods and bad foods. I choose to eat what I feel like eating. I actually enjoy my protein now,
Right.
So, on a day when I haven't had protein and for dinner, so my husband's like, you need your protein, right?
I love that. I love that.
So, so it's like very much a part of my life, and I'm happy with the relationship I now have with food, because I feel in control and I'm able to eat everything. I don't feel deprived at all.
Yeah.
Right. So before I would say, should I eat this? But I really want to. Okay, just this once. And now I say, do I want to eat it? Yes, no. If it's a yes, I know how much to eat. And if it's a no, it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't play on my mind like it used to.
What about the energy with your kids? How does that look like now?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, just today we've managed to do lots of painting. We've run around the whole day. We've blown balloons and played with them. We've gone shopping. We've had ice cream. We've cooked and cleaned and just done about everything. And I'm still not exhausted. And I'm probably now at about 9,000 steps already, right? And I still have about 3 hours before I go to bed, which means there is going to be a lot more activity. So yeah, it's just fallen into place. It's become a part of my life. And it's not something I think about all the time anymore. It's not about being healthy or unhealthy. I'm able to make healthy choices every moment, whether that's food or that's movement or that's playtime or that's work for that matter.
Yeah. And part of why you joined, which I'm surprised that you haven't even mentioned, is you wanted to lose some inches, and you did.
Yeah.
That didn't even come up in the conversation because somehow it's seen as important, right?
Yes, absolutely not. So, the clothes that I used to wear 6 years ago, before I got pregnant for the first time, are actually clothes I was able to wear 2 to 3 weeks ago, when I was cleaning up stuff and picking stuff to pack for the trip. And I said, oh my God, I can use this now, So that was amazing because 6 years is a long time to kind of feel that, you're not the same person you are. Of course, I know I never will be. I will most likely be a stronger person, a different person. But it's definitely very, very, elating to
Yeah,
know that you can fit back into clothes that you had stopped fitting into as a result of the changes of pregnancy and childbirth and whatever else that it takes.
I love that. I love that. Now, what I tend to find is another thing when I talk to a lot of people and they're like, yeah, Yusra, your work is amazing, but I don't know if it's going to work for me, right? They always assume that this only works for certain people, but somehow it's not going to work for them. What would you say to people who kind of think that way?
Why not just say it's a myth? It's a misconception
Mm,
because Yusra works with the person. One. And Yusra simplifies it so much so that it's really not hard enough for anyone.
yeah.
And it is sustainable, which is really something that you don't get. Like I keep saying to you, I haven't tried diets, fitness programs, or coaches. You've always been my only coach and the only person I turned to when I felt stuck, right? But everything that you do is just so personalized. And the fact that you listen, that I can say without doubt that your program would work for anyone who has any of these goals that we've been talking about.
Sabrina, thank you so much for your time today. Is there any last minute? And yeah, before I move on, you and I were talking about going on a live to talk about mental health and the stigma around it. Guys, we are going to have this interview with Dr. Sabrina because we feel it is so important for mental health support to be normalized, right? For people to reach out and say, hey, you know what, I need mental health support, and that it is important and normal, just like any other physical illness that you may need help with, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, people reach out a little more easily when they need help for their physical health, right? When they want to lose weight, when they're not feeling good. But many times the mind and the body is connected. You cannot separate them. And so when you're working on one and you do not work on the other, then you're really not doing justice to yourself. Of course, there's a lot of stigma around mental health. And when people ask for help, persons around them, whether that's family, friends, or relatives, tend to think that they're weak. They're not strong enough. They just need to move on. They need to brush things under the carpet and let it go. But we all function so differently. And no matter how we function, who we are, or where we are at in life, our mental health is that one important pillar that just keeps us going and makes us the people that we are and we choose to be. And so that's where it all starts. And our mental health is one thing that we all need to look after. We all have mental health. It fluctuates from time to time, and we all need to give it the attention and care that it deserves.
100%. I'm really looking forward to this live with you. I know it's going to be fascinating. So we're going to plan a time and a date and to jump on. Is there any last minute advice that you would tell someone? Say there's someone who's on the fence joining me, but who isn't sure. What would you say to them right now?
I'd say don't hesitate, jump over the fence. Because Yusra has your back. She always does.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabrina. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Yusra. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.